Hello, and welcome to Play Hard and Love Big Radio. I am Katie Clark, co-founder of Spotted Dog Yoga. Welcome to this wonderful podcast where Nick and I share on our experiences and insights as we move through this journey of life together. Today I want to talk about fear. And I want you to just take a moment and think about what you're most afraid of. What is your biggest fear? And if you're coming up blank, I want you to sit with that question and really think about it until you come up with something. Because whether you know it or not, right, you have fear, right? It's natural to have fear. And it's not a bad thing to have fear. However, sometimes we allow fear to hold us back. And when we allow fear to hold us back, we're not reaching our full potential. We're not taking the chances that we could take. We're not trusting the process and allowing the universe to kind of work on our behalf, right? To try easy, to move into a space where even though there's fear there, that we're able to step in front of the fear and make decisions that really light us up, that really fulfill dreams, that really speak to our hearts, right? Like what's true to us, what our intuition tells us is like who we are, what we want to do, what we're here for, right? Like you want to consider and remember that you're important, right? Like every person is important and you bring something to the world. And when you allow fear to take over and to hold you back, you're not really fulfilling that purpose to the world. You're not really like taking on, owning the fact that you matter, right? Like you're important. You are. And so I just want to talk about, right, like I'm going to presence a few fears that are common. You can easily look this up. There are a lot of surveys, studies, things like that, where people talk about their biggest fears. And there are some that are really common. And then beyond that, I'm just going to talk about two really simple things that you can do to work on stepping in front of your fear. Okay, so some of the top fears that hold people back in life are change, right? Like people are afraid of change. And the thing about it is that change is constant. Like the only constant is change, right? Like that's the only thing that is consistent in life is change. It's weird to think of it that way, but it's true. Everything is changing. Your body, the cells of your body on that micro level are constantly changing. You are changing. The people around you are changing. The world is changing. Everything's changing, right? And so if you're so stuck on the way that it was, the way that you want it to be, this one way, then you're really stopping yourself. You're really like putting up barriers on growth, and you're preventing yourself from embracing the flow. And when you are in that flow, realizing the higher possibilities available to you. Another one, loneliness. Right? People are afraid of being lonely. And here's the thing. You need to get right with you, because you spend the most time with you over your lifetime. More than your partner, spouse, more than your children, more than any other family member, friends, work, colleagues, anything like that. You spend the most time with you. So it's really important that you develop some self-love, right? Like cultivate your relationship with yourself. Because the reality is that you can't really have good relationships with other people if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, right? So instead of worrying about being lonely, maybe like consider that if you were able to be by yourself happily, that there would not be even a possibility of loneliness for you. You have you. And then another one, failure, right? People are afraid of failure, failing. Well, we all fail. Failure has become like a bad word, like it's a bad thing. And what you want to do is shift your like way of thinking about failure. Right? Sometimes you have to show up and suck before you can show up and shine. Right? So you got to be willing to fail a little bit, to make mistakes, to learn from them, and then implement a new way. Succeed the next time. Or maybe not. Like maybe it takes a few failures to get to the place where you understand how to succeed. But success and failure go hand in hand. And you can't be afraid of failing if you want to be successful, right? That just doesn't work. And then one more, there are a lot, but we'll just do one more. People are afraid of the unknown, like uncertainty. That's a fear. And the thing about it is that this one kind of ties in with the change thing, right? If you have a fear of change, if you have a fear of the unknown, like being uncertain, then you can't really cultivate a happy life, right? Because the reality is that change is constant. You don't know what's coming. You don't know. All you have is right now, and it's true, right? Like I have this moment right here doing this podcast. I don't know what's coming next. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't even know what the rest of the day holds, really. Like I think I can, like in my brain, if like my mind takes over, I want to think that I know, but the reality is that we don't know. And so if you are constantly battling against the unknown, the uncertain, the fear of change, then you're really setting yourself up for anxiety, right? Like stress, laying awake at night, worrying, wondering what's coming. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And so this is a good segue into my 2 tips on, like stepping into this fear and like really like facing your fear, working on stepping in front of it. The fear will be there, but it doesn't have to rule you. If you let it rule you, then that's on you. Okay? So the first thing is awareness. Right? So at the beginning, I asked you, what's your biggest fear? And if you don't have anything, if you can't think of anything, then you need to really look harder, because there's something there. There is a fear, at least one. There's something that is stopping you from living a more full, exuberant, joyful life. So awareness, you have to be aware of your fear. You have to allow yourself to feel the fear, right? If we constantly push our feelings aside, don't allow ourselves to feel things that are uncomfortable, then it actually like suffocates us, because we're so set on avoiding those feelings. We stuff them down, we stuff them down, we stuff them down. We ignore, that then we just become controlled by it. Yeah, ultimately. So awareness, that's the first thing. And then the second thing really is just, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's presence. Like if you really think about it, if you're present, like fully in the moment, just enjoying what's right in front of you, not in your head. Like, I mean out here, enjoying your surroundings, enjoying the people around you, enjoying, or yourself, right? Like we talked about earlier, like people are afraid of being lonely. Can you enjoy yourself in the moment in whatever you're doing so fully that you're present? Because it's the mind, it's thoughts that create stress, fear, anxiety, the things that keep us laying awake at night, worrying, fearful. So if you can practice presence, you'll notice if you start to practice that and you can tune in to when you're really present, you'll notice you can compare a difference between when you're present, you're not worrying because you're not in your head. When you're in your head, your fears will overtake you. When you're present, the fear might be there, but you have the ability to step in front of your fear and do the thing anyway. And the more you step in front of your fear and do the thing anyway, the less the fear comes up, right? The less powerful the fear is. The fear becomes less and less powerful the more that you face it. And so awareness and presence, they really tie into meditation, yoga, and inquiry. Like really, these practices and techniques, they work. And if you do them, if you sit in meditation, you do your yoga practice, you're actively practicing awareness and presence. Because when you're in your meditation or your yoga practice, you're going to notice when your thoughts take over. And you have the ability to practice over and over. Come back to your breath, come back to your body, come back to now. And the more you do that in your meditation and in your yoga practice, the easier it is to implement it in your life because you get access to your body. And then secondly, inquiry on top of that, and in conjunction with meditation and yoga, inquiry like journaling, asking questions. Oh, like, why did I do that? Why am I so afraid? Like, what are my fears? What am I most afraid of? If my fear wasn't there, what would be possible for me? Write that down. Journal a little bit at night or in the morning. Get it on paper. Share it with other people. Like, if you're actively practicing meditation, yoga, and inquiry, you have the tools to develop awareness and presence to the point where your fears don't rule you anymore. And when fear comes up and it starts to take over, you can make a shift. You can respond. And you can shift it. And you can act differently. And you can speak differently. And the outcome will be different for you. So, thank you so much for joining. There's so much about this, but it's just been on my mind a lot, and I wanted to share. So thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day. Talk soon. Namaste.